for joining us again. My name is Jay Turan, and I work for FFKR Architects, and I'm also the marketing chair for the NAIOP Utah board here in Salt Lake City. We are joined today by Tony Tyler of Columbus Pacific Development, and we're going to discuss some other issues at hand. Tony, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yeah, thank you very much, Jade. I appreciate the opportunity and am looking forward to kind of chatting for a few minutes about, how the COVID-19 virus restrictions have impacted our business from a construction and development perspective in Summit County. So we are a ground up developer. We have several different types of projects, both in pre-development and various stages of construction and completion. And including the Apex Residences, the Pendry Residences and Hotel and mixed-use project in the Canyons Village. We're also building an affordable employee housing project in the Canyons and have a retail and commercial project that just finished up in Old Town, Park City, called the Kimball on Main.
Wow, very interesting. Well, I really want to start this video off a little bit differently, and I want to talk about maybe the positive of what's happening and how our industry is adjusting. Can you share with us maybe some of the positive impacts or positive adjustments that have happened to your business?
Absolutely. In fact, we're seeing, kind of the opposite impact in our industry. With the restrictions that have been in place in Summit County, construction and development has still been deemed an essential business, which I think is good both for us and the projects that we're working on, but also for the people that work with us, both contractors and subcontractors. We've seen that after the resort closed, a lot of the offsite impacts associated with developing in an urban, semi-urban area like the resort had really kind of fallen by the wayside, and it's allowed productivity to increase. Our on-site labor force has actually increased marginally as well. And we're getting a little bit more efficient in terms of the actual construction process itself. There's less traffic for both the labor force and for deliveries that are happening. There's less offsite impact. So it's, what we're really seeing is sounds counterintuitive, but we're seeing a positive impact on the construction side, at least in the projects that are currently under construction for us.
Wow, that's very, very interesting. I know, a lot of viewers will be, somewhat pleased to hear that. What about any community outreach or community benefit that your company is doing there in Summit County? I know it was hit really, really hard. Restrictions were put in place very, very early. Is your company doing anything? You just explained how there are some, backdoor benefits to, no traffic and increased productivity. Has your company, paid it forward and helped those that are less fortunate?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's not just a personal responsibility. I think it's really our moral obligation to help those that are less fortunate, particularly in a situation like this, which really has a lot of uncertainty tied to it. So we really focused on our own backyard, and we have both personally and as a business contributed to the Park City Community Foundation. We found that they work as a really great clearinghouse to both vet the need and distribute the grants to the individual groups and organizations that need them, in addition to the people. And so what we've really tried to focus on is impacts that are really beyond anyone's control. So for example, in my neighborhood, two of my neighbors own restaurants in town, Hearth and Hill and Shoyu Sushi, and both of them, I believe, are still offering curbside delivery. And so I've been encouraging people, to try to, patronize those establishments, try to keep their employees going. But look, I mean, we're even though we're very fortunate on our side, I know that the The stay-at-home order, which Summit County issued very early in the process, has created some, pretty dramatic impacts on certain sectors of our community. And the very least that we can do is to try to give back to the extent that we possibly can. So I would encourage you, if you're watching, to get involved. Even if it's not a cash donation, there's a lot of organizations that could use some additional time and expertise. And there's a lot of people out there that are in need. And so, certainly please try to keep those people in your mind and contribute where you can.
That's great advice, Tony. Thank you so much. I think a lot of people, can contribute and will contribute, knowing that there are good businesses out there like yours already doing so. As far as some of your current projects under construction, has your company taken any steps to protect those workers so they can keep working?
We have, absolutely. So from our perspective, there's kind of two components to it. There's the actual restrictions that are in place by Summit County, which is a stay-at-home order or a shelter-in-place order, as it's been referred to, and those, in addition to some of the social distancing requirements, have some other restrictions on construction, meaning that you're required to have wash basins and boot wash stations and practice social distancing on site. But what we have really tried to do is stay ahead of that curve. So we started tracking, for example, employees coming to the job sites, who they're there with on a daily basis, and which really kind of leads to the second component, which is really the potential practical disruption that we could have from the virus. Thankfully, to date, we have not had a positive case on one of our job sites, but if we did, we need to be prepared, to understand how that could impact the labor force on the job. And we have 100 to 120 people on, a single job site, and if there's an outbreak that that requires 40 or 50 of those people to stay home, then it has a practical impact as well. So I would encourage anyone out there in a similar stage of construction to be prepared for the next step. Checking symptoms as the workers arrive to the site. If there are any issues, making sure that you address them immediately, and also keeping everyone informed as to what's going on. We are over communicating, not just internally, but also to the contractors and subcontractors. So that's some of the things that we've done on our side to try to improve the chances of us making it through without any major impacts.
Great. That's very good to hear. Tony, I guess this is my last question, or anything else that you wanted to add. A lot of your projects you are looking to sell. Are those buyers or potential buyers? Are they still around? Are they on the sidelines? What are you seeing in your community?
It's a good question, and it's kind of a complicated response. This time of year, you would typically see the resort starting to wind down, and our demographic for sale condo properties would also really kind of start to wind down in terms of new contacts. There are still a number of buyers that are kind of waiting on the wings and really trying to wade through the uncertainty that's in the capital markets today. I will tell you that we've had some actually very positive feedback from a number of buyers that were either already under contract or slated to close in the next few weeks. We have not lost any existing contracts, and in fact have gained a couple more over the course of the last 30 days or so. And we had one buyer that wanted to close earlier because they had an opportunity to take advantage of a very low rate structure that exists today. So, even though our new contacts are really down overall, we're still seeing buyers that are out there in the marketplace, particularly in our demographic that's looking for a vacation home or a second home. The primary markets are a completely different animal. But we've actually seen that the inventory is dropping because sellers are not putting their homes on the market. But the demand still is out there. And now is the time where you would normally see inventory start to rise in the primary marketplace. And it's just not doing that right now. So I think until the uncertainty from a buyer perspective and uncertainty from a market perspective starts to kind of settle down, the trend will kind of continue in terms of it staying, relatively high demand, but relatively low inventory at this point.
I understand. Well, Tony, thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything else you wanted to add to close?
No, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk. And, I think from our perspective, we're cautiously optimistic that the impacts will be over, certainly in a state as strong as Utah, for both our projects and new ones that are coming up and out of the ground for the community.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you again for joining us this week. And if you have any topics of discussion you would like to hear about what's happening in the market, you can email Lindsay at naiop@naiopunutah.org. And we will work hard as NAIOP Utah to push out some very helpful information for our members. But thank you again for joining us. And Tony, you stay safe and healthy, and we will see you all next week.
Thank you very much.